If Xana and Ethan were sleeping in Xana's bedroom with the door closed and locked, and there was no sign of forced entry that we know about, how did the assailant get to Ethan and Xana? Hey everyone, it's Lucky with Unfiltered Lucky. And today I want to talk a little bit about how this assailant was able to get to these victims inside the King Roadhouse. Now, it would seem like in this living situation that these roommates would close and lock their doors when they went to bed. I've lived in party houses before. And when you go to bed, you close and you lock your door because people are coming and going. People are loud. They mistake your door for the restroom, or they're trying to find a quiet place away from the party. So typically, if you live in an active house such as this, you would close and lock your door so somebody doesn't just walk into your bedroom. If you've ever lived in this type of house, then you know what I'm talking about. It would seem as though all of the roommates in this house would close and lock their doors when they went to bed, including on the top level. I'm not aware of any damage to these bedroom doors. There certainly could have been some that we're just not aware of, and we don't have that information. But if these doors were closed and locked, it would slow this perpetrator down. Now, it may not be much if these were interior doors, but if they were solid, then it would take a little bit of time for this intruder to get through that door, which would definitely cut into that timeline. That would be just one more thing that this assailant would have to overcome within that 10-minute timeline. How is this assailant able to get to these victims so efficiently? Whoever committed these crimes would have to get to the back door without being seen or having some random student walk past them. And then when they got to the back door, that back door would have had to be unlocked because there was no sign of forced entry. Now, once the intruder goes through that back door and enters the house, there's 6 people in this house, 6 young people, and there's nobody moving around this house. The perpetrator would have to walk into 2 common areas of this house after they entered the sliding glass door. Now, at this point, they would be exposed. They'd be right out in the open. Now, they decide to take the noisiest approach and head straight up the stairs of this old house rather than stay on the main level. That doesn't really make a lot of sense because once this intruder heads upstairs, they've basically eliminated their easy exits and possibly trapped themselves in the house. Not to mention, these stairs are connected to Dylan's bedroom wall, and Dylan is asleep in her bedroom. So when the intruder gets to the top of the stairs and gets to Maddie's bedroom, is her door open or is it closed and locked? I just keep thinking that there's a lot of sorority girls that live in this house, and this house is described as having a lot of traffic. So it seems as though these girls would lock their bedroom doors when they went to bed as a safety precaution. Did the person or people who committed these crimes just walk through Maddie's open bedroom door? Or did they have to get through Maddie's door because it was closed and locked? Was Kaylee originally in Maddie's bed? Is that originally where Kaylee started? Or did Kaylee hear noise and come out to check on Maddie. And this is when she discovers the assailant, and she's put on Maddie's bed after her life is taken. It was confirmed by the Gonsalves family that Kaylee and Maddie were both found in Maddie's single bed. Now, the assailant heads downstairs, and once this person gets downstairs, again, they're standing in a common area, wide open and fully exposed. Nobody's walking around this house. There's still no movement in this house, even though Xana just had food delivered. So when the assailant gets downstairs, are Ethan and Xana in Xana's bedroom with the door closed and locked? Or is it possible that maybe Ethan stepped out into the hallway because they heard noise upstairs, and maybe Ethan stepped out of Xana's room to check it out? So is it possible that Ethan was in the hallway and Xana was still in her bedroom? Was Xana crying because Ethan was on the outside of the door with the attacker, and she was on the inside of the door, locked in her bedroom? Was the attacker trying to use Ethan to get Xana to open up her door? Maybe that's why he said that he was going to help her. Why would Xana believe that this person was in a position to help her? Were they possibly representing somebody that could possibly help Xana? Why would Xana believe that this individual could help her? This all would have taken some time. The individual who found Ethan and Xana stated that they were both in Xana's bed when they were found. How was this perpetrator able to move around this house so freely and efficiently? Why were all of them still in bed? The coroner and Steve Gonsalves both said that there was a fight. Steve Gonsalves said there was a hell of a battle going on down there. So how were they all found in their beds? Was this perpetrator just moving around this house at will? It just seems odd to me that a single assailant was able to get to these victims so efficiently, considering that they were on opposite ends of this house on two separate levels. And this perpetrator likely would have had to go through locked doors. It would seem more likely that these crimes occurred in a common area or a more central area of the house, and then the victims were maybe moved into these bedrooms. 4 victims is a lot, and it would take a lot for one person to get to 4 victims, considering that they were spread out over this house. It just seems strange to think about this perpetrator running all over this house, taking people's lives. The fact that all of these roommates could have had their doors closed and locked would add another element of time. It would take more time for this person to get through those doors. It would seem as though these roommates would have closed and locked their doors, considering their living situation in this party house. So it would seem as though whoever committed these crimes not only would have to work their way around this house, but would also have to get through these locked doors. It would be extremely difficult for one individual to commit these crimes. This was a quadruple homicide. This was one individual in a house with 6 people. So this would be a very, very difficult crime for one person, considering the amount of victims. There would need to be some sort of containment, because what's to keep the other roommates from fleeing when one is fighting for their life? How does one individual contain 6 people on 3 different levels? That just doesn't make sense to me. But this individual would have had the added obstacle of these closed and locked bedroom doors. Now, do I think that this person could take these doors down? Absolutely. But it would take some time, and that would cut into that timeline. The way that law enforcement believes that these crimes happened doesn't really make a lot of sense, because they make it sound like these victims were taken one right after another in a very uniform manner. And that doesn't make sense to me, because this would have been total chaos inside this house. It almost sounds as though these victims were just sitting there waiting. And I just don't believe that. I don't believe that whoever committed these crimes was able to enter this house, get through closed and locked doors, contain 6 people, and do all this within 10 minutes. That just doesn't make sense to me. What do you think? Do you think that these roommates were behind closed doors and that their doors were locked? Did this perpetrator have to get through these closed and locked doors? And how did this assailant get to these victims so efficiently? Please stay tuned for my next video. And if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I really do appreciate it. We'll see you next time.